Hi, this is Dr. Don, and we are talking about how to build good relationships. As I work with couples, one of the things that I spend a lot of time working with them on is a situation where there may have been a major offense occur within the marriage, something that's been very hurtful, very difficult, very harmful, and that couple is working through what I call a process of forgiveness. It may have been the person, one or both of them have been doing a lot of lying. There may have been an extramarital affair. One had possibly has been financially irresponsible. There can be all kinds of offenses that occur, and the two of them are stuck there because they're trying to work through forgiveness, and it's just not working for them. I found a book a number of years ago by Janice Abrams Springs called How Can I Forgive You? And that's a very powerful book, and in it she describes a process of forgiveness that I found to be very, very effective, and I'd like to share some of the highlights of that with you. She suggests that in a relationship between a husband and wife, or two people in a committed relationship, when there has been an offense that has occurred, whatever that may be, that while that offense drives them apart, it is also a negative bond that is holding them together. They are bound together by the offense. And she suggests, rightfully so I believe, that forgiveness is a transaction. Forgiveness is a transaction, and there is work that needs to be done, we'll say he did the offending, by the offender. There's work that needs to be done here, and there is also work that needs to be done by the offended party for them to release the energy of this negative bond. So let me describe a couple of three things that the offender needs to do, and a couple of three things that the offended person needs to do as well. So the first thing that she talks about that's necessary for the offender to work on is the idea that for some reason I just deserve forgiveness from you simply by saying I'm sorry, and that's a part of our relationship. And that's really a fabrication. I need to do the work of showing you that I deserve forgiveness. And that work is going to require some time. So we encourage the person that has made the offense to go ahead and get started in doing those acts that will lead toward forgiveness. The second thing that we have to say to the person that has done the offending, the offender, is it's going to take some time. Generally, the offender wants immediate forgiveness, and they want to quickly move back into the relationship the way it was before the offense occurred. And that's usually not possible at all. What's happened is trust has been removed from the relationship, and it takes time, and it takes observable actions done consistently over time in order to build back trust on the part of those two parties. So the offender is going to need to give the offended some time for that trust to be restored. A third thing they're going to need to do is do what I term a good apology. And there are a lot of bad apologies out there. Well, if you really think I need to apologize, I guess I will. Or, okay, I'm going to apologize, but remember you did this or that. There are a lot of non-apologies that are used for apologizing. A good apology is, especially for a big offense, is going to be planned. I'm going to spend some time thinking about it before I apologize. Number two, it's going to be very, very specific. I'm going to describe very specifically to you the things that I have done that have hurt you. And probably number three, a lot of times I recommend If the offense has been pretty major, if there's been an extramarital affair, if there's been lying, if there has been a financial misappropriation, I recommend people write it down. I recommend you go into that meeting and you have written out in length and in detail that apology, and you sit there and you read that to that person. It may be that the apology has to be done several times. Forgiveness is not a point action. Well, it is. There's a time where we have a meeting, we sit down, we do that. But many times, depending on the offense, it has to be repeated down the road a little bit in order to build back and sustain the relationship. Now, the work that the offended has to do is different from the offender, but it's just as important. The first thing that they have to do is be willing to accept at face value the changed behaviors that the offended is doing. Because my brain is going to be constantly negating those things, going, no, I don't believe he's really telling me the truth. What if he's doing the same thing over and over again? I'm going to tend to want to stay in that victim role and negate anything that's being offered up. The second thing that the offended is going to have to really grapple with, and this is the big one, is ruminating. You know, when I was growing up, we had record albums. You'd go down to the TG&Y and you'd get the latest Doobie Brothers album, and you'd put it on the turntable and you'd put the needle down on it. And if the album came out scratched, you'd get about halfway through Long Train Running, and suddenly it would just catch there, and it would just catch and play the same measure over and over again. The human mind is capable of ruminating on negative events. This person can take something that they did and just roll it over and over in their mind time and time and time again throughout the day. And as they do that, they begin to spiral downward. And they can actually think themselves into the re-experiencing of that offense over and over again. So the offended, if they ruminate continually, can actually be re-traumatizing themselves over the event simply by thinking about it. So one of the things I'm going to have to do, as if I'm the offended party, is begin to think about how I can unplug that rumination pattern in my brain. Take it and think about something else. The final thing we're going to have to do, the both of us, is we're going to have to start acting like two people who are falling in love and not two people who are headed to divorce court. We're going to have to re-romance the relationship. We're going to have to re-court one another. We're going to have to build back that good emotional feeling that's going to restore the relationship again. Springs was correct in her book that forgiveness is a process, and there's work to be done on both sides of the relationship.